Good evening, everyone. I think the little passage that Tim just read, it's something that we mainly talk every counseling session that we have here, because everything that we are, every emotion, every chemical substance that we put inside our body comes from our thoughts. And our thoughts, the reaction of that comes from perception. So the passage that he read is just, everyone has his own feelings, his own perception of the woods, of the sea, of the light. So it really depends. How are you willing to wake up in the morning? It's a choice. You can choose to look at the good things, or you can choose to look at the bad things. But the problem, or the tricky part is, as our brain don't know what is right and what is wrong, what is real and what is not, whatever you feed your brain with, it's what it's going to start searching for. So if you feed your brain right after you wake up with gratitude, thanking for everything that you have, you're going to give an order to your brain to keep on going the whole day, or at least the whole morning, searching for another reason to be thankful for. But if the first thought that you have is that, oh my God, here I go again to work, your day is going to be, oh my God, here I go again to something. That's how it is. It's simple, but it's about perception. A good friend of mine used to say, facts are negotiable. So you're not feeling well in the chair, you can change to another one. Or you can get all the way down and sit on the couch right there. But perception is not negotiable because it's yours. It's something that comes from inside of you. The way that you react to things. And believe it or not, perception changes your biology, change your body in a molecule level. So watch how you interpret the things that come to you. One of the things that is really hard to understand is indulgence. Why? Because the way that it's broadcast is more like, oh, it's a pleasure, something that indulges yourself to the pleasure of chocolate or of an ice cream or something. So we always mix this word with something that is like, I'm going to spoil somebody. It's not a good meaning for that. So what we're going to talk today, it's about the perception of indulgence and what indulgence is for the Spiritist doctrine. And maybe we can start understanding what is to be indulgent to somebody else. It's not be 100% forgive everything that the person do. But that is a limit. So hopefully we can draw the line in between this limit today. Let's start with a fable from LaFontaine. For the ones that don't know LaFontaine, French, he was well known by his fables. He always used animals to talk about human behavior. And in this one, he said this, another thing, he was a powerful pass giver. But he did that not through the hands, but through the eyes. So he hypnotized people like, boom. And he heals people just like that as well. So, Jupiter and the animals. One day, Jupiter summoned all the animals to appear before him, so that, comparing themselves to the others, each animal would recognize its own flaws and or limitations. Nice thought, right? Yeah. Thus, Jupiter could correct their imperfections, and the animals, one by one, praised themselves, boast of their qualities, and only reported the flaws of the others. Was not the plan that Jupiter had, right? He was willing for somebody to say, yeah, I have this or that. Maybe it's a small thing, but from there, he could progress until the animal we are animals as well, admit their own flaws. That didn't happen. The monkey, when asked if he was happy with his appearance, replied, of course, head, trunk, and limbs, I have them perfect. It is practically impossible to find any defects on me. And then he adds, too bad. Not everyone is like this. Bears, for example. How dowdy. Then the bear come next and did not complain about his physical appearance and even brag about his size. He criticized, though, the elephants. 2 large ears, insignificant tails, big animals, dull and ugly. And then here comes the elephant. He thinks the opposite and finds himself charming. But nature exaggerated on the whale's fat, according to him. Elephant doesn't have any fat, right? It's a slim, mean machine, right? The ant is speaking of the larva fronds. What a sad and ugly littleness. So, little by little, each animal was talking about somebody else's flaws. Such are men, as if they had 2 saddlebags. One on the chest, he carries the saddlebag with evils of the others. And on the back, that he can see, nobody can see, he carried the evils of themselves. They are blind to their own defects, but clearly see the defects of others. How to be indulgent if we act like this? It's quite hard, isn't it? The lies that hurt us the most are hindering our spiritual growth are not just the ones we verbalize, but the ones we unconsciously tell ourselves, the ones we project. Projection is a psychology term. What I don't like in me, and I see in you, I project. They call the shadow effect as well. And I'm going to be the worst Jude ever on you because I don't like that on me. But of course, you're showing this quality, and I'm going to, so to speak, quote unquote, kill you with my considerations, with my, lack of understanding of what's happening to me. So we tell lies to ourselves, and instead of admitting who we are and what we have and what are our problems, come on guys, let's be honest. What is planet Earth? It's a planet of what? And trials, right? So, if you are here, do you think that you're not going to go through trials and expiation? No way, Jose. You're going to be just like everybody. You're going to have your tests, you're going to have your trials, you're going to have your expiation as well. So, it's not my problem, it's his. Doesn't help anything on your test. Doesn't help you to grow. You're always going to put the blame on somebody else. So you're never responsible for your acts. You're never responsible for something that happens to you. How to evolve with a thought like this? Be indulgent. Whenever we distinguish something outside of ourselves and disapprove it too much as being pernicious, dangerous, pervert, immoral, and so on, it is likely to represent content within ourselves. The threat is treated as an external force rather than internal. When you're sick, you go to the doctor, and what does he recommend? Some kind of medicine, right? Rest, or something else. This medicine will disappear with your problem, or is just gonna work. Your sickness is not treated by pills. It's not treated by medicine. It was caused by your thoughts. It was caused by the way that you react to facts that come to you. And if you don't understand that, if you don't jump inside yourself, you're not going to fix it. You're just going to take some pills. Take some pain pills. And nowadays, medicine is telling, and psychology is telling, that if you take a pain pill for sadness, yeah, you're going to get better. Because it's the same lobe as physical pain. If somebody dump you, same way. You're feeling pain, yay, ibuprofen. Yay, I'm awesome. No, you're not awesome, but it's not hurting anymore. But it's not the case, is it? If everything that happens to me, it's not me, it's not mine, I didn't do it, you did. So I'm never going to grow. I'm never going to fix my inner problems. And if I don't fix myself, how can I try to help others? Listen, I didn't say how can I try to fix others, because we don't have this power at all. We don't fix anybody but ourselves. There is no way to fix the other. And if you have this kind of illusion, by now, if you're married or if you are in a real serious relationship, you understand that, yeah, this was really an illusion. She or he is not going to change. Until the day that he or she wants to do it. You're not going to change anybody but you. But even so, as we tell so much lies to ourselves, we postpone this. Until when? Next incarnation? Again, I talk about this sometimes. If we have less people on earth, because now couples have 1, 2, maybe 3 kids. Valdo, I'm not talking to you. You're a rabbit. But nowadays it's like 2 kids, 1 kid. That means that the incarnation line is getting bigger and bigger. So your chances to reincarnate are getting smaller. Stay in line, pal. Pick your number. And it's not Publix. It's not going to get that fast. So are you going to leave for next incarnation what you can do on this one? And what about the shame that you're going to feel when you discarnate and see that you spoil another incarnation? Then you're going to use the indulgence the way human beings see that word, not the way Spiritists understand the word. Be indulgent. While you see the slightest fault of your neighbor, your brother, you do not even suspect that you have the same faults, perhaps 100 times greater than theirs. Allan Kardec said that on the Revue Spirit, the Spiritist magazine, in 1865. Lack of indulgence clouds our view of ourselves. So if you're not willing to forgive the other, if you're not willing to understand that he does that because that's his moral statue right now, that's his moral level right now, then you are a Judah what? What you gonna say? If there's something that is not good that comes out of your mouth to talk about somebody else, reframe yourself. First, because you are putting outside a bad energy, a negative energy, and that will come back to you. And as we are polarized by energy, because we made of atoms, right? In this quantic physics level, this negative energy is going to polarize our body, and voila, we're going to have a bad time, or a bad day, or a bad week, or a bad month. When we become judge of others, we spend time and energy that could be devoted to the exploration of our inner planet. And so we lose focus on ourselves. How much time of the day, don't need to answer me, okay? Just answer to yourself. How much time of your day you devote to explore your inner planet? Let's start by asking this question to yourself. How many times you meditate a day? This is one of a million things that you can do to look to yourself, to look inside, not outside. How many times you do that? And why don't you do that? I don't have time. Yeah, but you do have time to talk about somebody else, right? You do have time to judge somebody else, right? Why don't you use this time to meditate? It's a good usage of the time. Instead of trying to spend your time spilling out, like we say, spill some beans, and those ones are really rotten. It's not a good bean. It's not something that you want to eat. It's not something that you're going to take. Key concepts. Denial is the refusal to accept things as they are. Yes, Homer Simpson's there for a reason. This is an icon. This is the way our brain reacts to something. He is the master of doing wrong. So that's why we're talking about what is wrong. Denial is the refusal to accept things the way as they are. In denial, although the facts and circumstances are not completely erased from the conscious, as in repression, they are repositioned in such a way that they distort obscure reality. It's not me. It's the way things are. It's not me. It's my bad luck. It's my bad star. It's my karma. It's somebody else. I'm good. But life doesn't, stop throwing me bad things. And you keep repeating to yourself up to the point, again, your brain doesn't know what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is not. Keep telling yourself, because a lie told 1,000 times becomes a truth. Yeah, and we are masters in doing that. We're telling so much lies to ourselves that all of a sudden we believe in our lies. And that's where problem starts. So, what is the hardest outcome of denial in terms of sickness? Can you think about one condition that this refusal to accept things as they are can cause to a human being? Just say 5 at a time, okay? Because I cannot hear you. Depression. Depression is nothing but don't accept the world the way it is. The world has to be the way I see it. And if it's not, I enter to the denial state, and then I'm going to start producing chemicals in my body that will lead me to depression. Depression is something that we cause to us. Most of our diseases is something that we cause to us. We didn't earn from genes from grandpa or grandma or auntie or so on. It's something that we create to ourselves. Another thing, displacement is the psychological defense mechanisms through which one replaces the initial purpose of a drive with another and less socially disastrous drive. Example, you really piss me off. I want to hit you in the face. Instead of doing that, I'll hit the wall. I just displace my anger to something else. But I'm still feeling the anger. So I didn't want it to repurpose this feeling. I just want to, I know that I cannot hit you, so I'm going to do that something to something else. And today it happens to me. I was dealing with something at work, and then something else, and I was kind of stressed because the action that I was doing was not progressing, and it was not because of me. No, I'm not putting the blame to outside, but I depend on somebody else to do that, and it was not working. And again, I was getting stressed without noticing. And then I got some other person coming to me and telling me bad news. And I got really mad. I got really angry. So I realized and said, you know what? That's the trick. I'm not going to respond the way I wanted to respond right now. I'm going to understand what's happening to me. First of all, it's just a job. Second of all, why I'm going to take everything to my weekend instead of just letting it go. It's just a part of my day. It's not my whole day. I have a lecture to give tonight. Am I going to get up and be really angry? Why? Because of one thing that happened to me? But you have to stop. You have to analyze. You have to put some red flags in your brain. Otherwise, that's not going to happen. You're going to be in denial. No, I didn't do that. I'm awesome. I'm a 150%. That doesn't exist, by the way. We just go to 100%. But we like to say 150% great worker. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I work to a point that I know that I'm doing a good job, and that's it. And that's what it is about. So, the problem in a dictionary for the word indulgence is that it's saying that it's willing to allow excessive lenience, generosity, or consideration, indulging or characterized. That is not good, because this is excess, right? Excessive. Excessive is not good. It's too much. So, although Jesus said how many times we have to forgive somebody else, you guys remember how many times? 7 plus? Yeah. And it was just a figure of speech, because it's a way more than that. But he needs to give a pattern for somebody to, because 7 was the number of his time. It was 7 times and I'm done. I forgive you 7 times, and after that, get out of here. I'm never going to forgive you again. Fantastic, right? Unfortunately. But then, if you think about this, I'm going to forgive him forever for every single wrongdoing. And even if he's bad and he do bad things to somebody else, I'm going to forgive him or her. Not quite. What Spiritism say? Avoiding intentionally is the key word, knowing the faults of others. You know, I know that nobody here likes to do that, but people outside, believe me, they love gossip. I know that's not our case, but people outside love to gossip. And in order to start gossiping about somebody, they need to get the facts. So, what Spiritism said? Avoiding intentionally knowing the fault of others. And if they happen to be aware of them, they do not disclose them, except in the event that a larger group may be or be harmed. That's one point you said. I'm just going to talk about somebody if really I know that's going to harm a lot of people, or one person, but it's going to be something that is bad. Otherwise, if he or she is doing something that is not good, it's not my business. Why should I take time to talk about this and to progress that energy and to keep multiplying this energy through my mouth with words that are nothing but energy in the form of waves, and they're gonna hit somebody, it's gonna poison people with that. Why would I be the one doing that? We need to reframe ourselves. Avoiding criticism and censorship of others. Mistake is a part of indulgence. Again, avoiding criticism and censorship of others' mistakes. It's hard, isn't it? Because normally, when we talk about somebody else, we compare to what? To our group, to our society, to our work, to the standards that we think we have. And if this person goes against that, as an outsider, we start judging. We start talking about. We start bad-mouthing. Why? What does that give it to us? What is there for us on doing this? Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. Because again, you are attracting bad energy to yourself. Are high spirits made of lower energy? Are low spirits made of lower energy? So who are you going to attract when you fill yourself with negative energy? Voila. That's your first key. Why are you doing that to yourself? I don't know. Maybe because you have this kind of habit, which is something that we can't avoid. Be indulgent, my friends. Is it permitted to reprehend, observe imperfections, or to comment the evil in others? It's the first question that we need to ask ourselves. Is it permitted? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe, sometimes, once in a blue moon, when there is a magic game. When? When you criticize, what consequences should be deducted from your words? When you criticize somebody, what are the consequences of this criticism? Let me start by talking about bullying. What is the consequences of bullying? We see that all the time, don't we? It's pure criticism. And some people do that just to have fun. Just to show how powerful, how superior they are to the other person. Why? Why? Because we don't pay attention. Because once we see it, we are talking about our colleague, we're talking about somebody from the center, we're talking about somebody in our family, and we are not seeing the consequences of that. And again, if you are the one that is putting the energy out, be prepared, because it's going to come back to you. And if it's not good, and probably it's not, sorry, face the consequences, because the primary cause was you. Why be indulgent? Indulgence will never occupy itself with the evil actions of others unless it's to offer help. So, mainly to keep yourself in peace. Mainly to take care of your energy. Maybe to live a better life. Do not judge with severity any actions but your own. Just judge yourself. It is enough. Don't judge somebody else's. You don't know what they're coming through. When somebody's not performing the way you think he should because you perform this way, it's not fair that my peer doesn't perform the same way. Do you know what's he's been through? Do you know his life, her life? Do you know what's going to? Can be a bad time, but probably he or she doesn't want to talk to about it. It's something private. But we are the first ones to say, yeah, that person should work the same as me. That's not fair. I'm doing his job. I'm doing her job. That's the most frequent thing that happens because 8 hours of a day, if you're not in school, we spend in our work environment. And it's easy to get our brain wondering about things that are not valid or not positive. Forgive our sins as we forgive those sins against us. Don't we repeat that every time when you say the Lord's Prayer? And what does that mean? If we don't forgive people, please don't forgive me. Isn't it? Right? It's written there. There's people that try to manipulate this sentence. Forgive me as I'm trying to forgive the others. So you're still asking, try to forgive me, not forgive me. Because if I don't forgive the others, you won't gonna forgive me. And we all need forgiveness, right? Because we are imperfect spirits still, looking to perfect, but still imperfect. Then the Lord will be indulgent towards you, according to the manner in which you have shown it to the others. The one that censors, be not guilty of that which is being reproved, so that may be worth more than the culprit of humanity. So when you censor somebody, aren't you putting yourself in a place that what I'm talking about, I mastered that. I never do that. Never, ever in a million years I had this kind of personality, and I did this as wrong as he's doing right now. Nobody can say that. Nobody can throw the first rock. Nobody. But we still insist in being the judge of somebody else. It's really hard. We need to understand indulgence, it's not thinking, again, never occupy yourself with the evil actions of others. Unless you can offer help. Unless you can offer help. If it's to help somebody, please do it. If it's not, if it's just to talk about somebody behind their back, please don't do that. It's bad for that person and it's bad for ourselves as well. Because in the end, we know we did bad. So this will affect our self-esteem. By the end of the day, we're going to charge ourselves to that. And it's not good. It's not a good feeling. As no one's perfect, does it follow that no one has the right to reprehend the neighbor? What you think? Yes? No? Do you think we have the right to reprehend our neighbors? No? People in the back, what you think? Yes? No? Maybe? Give me 10 hours to come back and give the answer. Okay. This is certainly not the right conclusion to arrive. Didn't say no, but it's not the right conclusion. Seeing that each one of you must work for the progress of everyone, and above all, especially for those who have been placed in your care. But for this very reason, it should be done in moderation, in order to obtain a useful end, and not, as it is so often the case, for the mere pleasure of reviling. Don't we take pleasure sometimes in talking bad about somebody? Don't answer me, answer yourselves. And if the answer is yes, no, you're not the evil creature of all. No, we're human beings. We have this inside of us, okay? And again, the first step to control that is to admit that sometimes we have this kind of pleasure of talking bad of somebody else, that we know that is not doing their job, is not working properly, is not treating people properly. But we didn't take a time to understand why. What's going through the head, the brain, the soul of this person. Because if you didn't see what's going on there, then we don't have the right. So, it should be done in moderation in order to obtain a useful end. A useful end, and not a superficial pleasure. To say, yeah, I was the first one to detect that he's bad. Really? Do you think so? Nobody can see. Everybody's blind. Everybody noticed. But you're the only one who start talking about that. And all of a sudden, this will create like a snowball effect. And it's going to be huge. And you were the one who started. When to be indulgent? Is it reprehensible to make note of imperfections of others when this cannot result in any belief for them, seeing that it will be not disclosed to them? Meaning that, is it reprehensible to talk about somebody in the back? Everything depends on intention. For sure it is not forbidden to see evil where it exists. The mistake would be, in making the observation, result in detriment of your neighbor, so discrediting him before the general opinion without need. Yes, if your neighbor is doing something that is really bad and it's going to compromise a lot of people, it's going to put people like in a bullying system. If you see somebody doing bullying to somebody else, chances are that this is going to be like really huge in a matter of weeks. Because the other person that is suffering that can take that much. So yes, you should speak. You should do that. Because the outcome is to preserve a human person. To preserve a soul. To preserve somebody to go from a natural state to depression like this. Because one of the main things for human beings is to be loved and to pertain and to belong. And when somebody starts bullying you, you feel that you are spared from that society. They don't like you. They don't want you. And you feel an outsider. So you start putting yourself to the side. And this is the first step of depression. And my friends, depression leads to suicide. In many, many, many cases. If a person's imperfection only causes prejudice to themselves, then there can be nothing useful in disclosing these facts. I think this is the line for us. If the person's imperfection only prejudice that person, leave it as is. It's not up to you to tell this person, hey, look how bad you're doing. Don't you think that this person knows this? Why in Spiritism we say, so be it, and not amen, which is in the end is the same. So be it, just like that. I'll talk to you. We had a 2-hour chat. The outcome was nowhere close to an understanding. Am I going to spend 2 more, 4 more, 6 more, 8 more, a day, a week, trying to convince you of something that you don't understand or don't assume that you have? No. So be it. At this moment, you are just like that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week, we can talk again. And you change. But at this point, I cannot do anything. So, leave it as is. He just can't prejudice himself. Leave it as is. Because we learn by love? No, really? We learn by pain. So if he caused leverage to himself, maybe that's the better way for him to understand that he was doing wrong. Not you. You're not the judge. You're not the superpower person that can tell, hey, you're doing wrong. If I don't understand, if I don't realize that I have a problem, my friends, I don't. You can spend hours and hours on my side trying to convince me, but I don't think so. So I don't have it. Period. Don't try to do that. It's not going to work. Indulgence is the virtue of understanding. Understanding why this person is acting the way he or she is. Indulgence is substantially a virtue in which the spirit from self-knowledge comes to understand and feel compassion for the imperfect spirits. That can lead us to understand that we are perfect. Far from that. But we are willing to understand somebody's, what we think is a flaw, without judging, without putting ourselves there and say, yeah, this person, I don't think so. No, I don't like it. Why? Maybe you were not like this in this incarnation, or maybe you were. So it's not to us. It's not up to us to judge. The Spirit abandons pride and above all understands that everyone holds within themselves the ability to improve and thus sees others with eyes full of love. When will we train our eyes to smile? Have you heard the expression? She looked at me and her eyes were smiling. It's the better smile of all because it's not fake. So when we will train ourselves to look at somebody with our eyes full of passion, compassion, full of love, full of everything. When? Full of light. Thanks, Russ. It's going to be sometime. But we can do that. We can understand that. We can understand indulgence. Right? That's the invitation that we have. Russ, I'm going to ask you to don't kill it. Just put it to the side. Put it in standby. Because I'm going to show you something. I'm going to try to translate the beginning of this video because it's in Spanish, but it's just what the experiment is. But I don't think words have a major play on this one. What happens if we get together refugees with European citizens? And they look at each other in the eyes for 4 minutes. This is an experiment from Amnesty Polonia. The results you see.
Nice mustache.
Are you new in Berlin?
Yeah. 8 months.
And are you alone here or with your family?
No, I don't. It's life. Sometimes nice. Sometimes not good.
Yeah, please.
Office.
Oh my God, I'm keeping my eyes on you.
Oh.
Hello. I expect you to ask my number. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. We will go to the zoo maybe next few days.
Yes.
Text you if you would like to. It's
Okay.
good.
Yes. We can do it.
When I was looking into her eyes, I was trying to see what I could tell from the life that she lived, and I think I could tell that there was a lot of experience lived there. Doesn't matter, look at the eyes or something, just give yourself a chance to talk and to look at the other person.
4 minutes of visual contact unify people in the way that they never understand. We never understand. That's the power that lies within us, inside of us, to give to somebody. How many times we do that? How many times we do that to somebody that we think that don't deserve? Why? Who are we to understand if they deserve or not? Have you seen? It's not 4 minutes before they start talking to each other, because we cannot take all the emotion, all the feelings that come from eye to eye straight. It's too much. It's the doors of our soul. Have you heard about that, right? Our eyes are the doors of our soul. So when you look to somebody this way, you are being indulgent because you are open your doors to the other person. You're open yourself to the other person. And if the other person is doing the same, what an opportunity to grow. What an opportunity to share. What an opportunity to understand what's going behind the avatar that we create ourselves every day. This mask that we need to be pretty, that we need to be independent, strong, and so far and so on. We are just human beings. We are just immortal souls. We are here to learn, but we cannot learn just by ourselves. We need every single one around us to help us to learn. And in order to do that, we cannot be the judges. We have to be the ones that are willing, again, to see others with eyes full of love. Much love, much understanding, and willing to do that. Thank you so much.